Hello beer tubers and welcome to another beer review with me, Peter, the master of hoppets, doing a final beer review here in the Christmas season, post-Christmas and post-Grand Christmas calendar of a Christmas beer that I was sent that I think would be really nice to share now that it is the holiday season. The ornaments already died out just from one other video, but we're trying something that I think a lot of beer geeks hold in high regard, or at least all my beer geeks. We're trying none other than a vintage bottle of the Dolle Stille Nacht. Stille Nacht is one of the first beers I ever gave 100 way back in the day. When I had this one, I was so blown away, and it was like, wow, there's so much going on. And I was a beer noob back then. I was it in 2010, I think. Then I did we're lucky enough to try the Reserva version that's aged in barrels. I tried that on draft even at Mickler's Beer Celebration. We got to meet the Dollar people, which was awesome. And yeah, I've also done a revisit of the beer in 14 of a fresh bottle, and I think I actually also included it in the Grand Christmas calendar either last year or the year before that. But I thought it would be fun to revisit this because I got it from Mads from the Belgian Hoes, a distribution company here in Denmark. He sent me a care package with loads of different dollar beers, and this is of course suitable to do a video on for Christmas. I think actually a lot of Danish beer geeks who are old money or know this beer like to drink this on Christmas Eve, or at least of the day of Christmas Eve. Christmas Day, even. So, yeah, brewed and bottled at the Dolle Brewers in Belgium. 12% Belgian strong dark ale. Uh, really high gravity beer. One of the highest gravity beers they do at the Dolle. I think it's between 22 and 27 Plato original gravity when they do this beer before fermentation. That's quite high. I mean, that's close to big stout territory. Most like crazy, massive stouts are at least over 30 plus. But a very big beer is 27 Plato still really big. What they also do is they add white candy sugar to this, and then it's boiled in a direct fire kettle for a very long time, extended period of time. And it's pretty much, as far as I can gather, only pale ale malts. So all this dark color, in this case, it's also going to be oxidation because it's a vintage bottle, but all the color you get in Stille Nacht, it smells awesome from here, is pure Maillard effect in the kettle, which is crazy. Then it's cooled in a special cooling vessel they have of copper as well, and then open fermented, I think, in a copper tank. I'm not sure if they still do that. I think they did that at one point at least. And then it's actually also hopped and dry hopped with nugget hops. So actually quite somewhat like old school modern, if you could say it like that. Like when this beer was done for the first time, dry hopping a beer and then with nugget is pretty unheard of because it's an American hop variety. But yeah, I've had this beer many times. I think Stille Nacht is fantastic. It's wondrous. Really tasty stuff. It's a beer that's really, really good to age. And if you've never had the Sava version, you should try and get some because it's awesome. So let's dive in here and check it out. And thanks to Mess for the beer. So poured the head on this. Oh my lord. It looked so nice. Massive and fluffy. There's still a little bit of fluff on the side, and then a lot of CO2. The Dollar beers are so highly carbonated. Like I was trying to pour like the Belgian way, where you like, and then you just lift the glass. Like no way. Like there's so much CO2 in the Dollar beers, and I left a good sludge here in a good amount of the bottle because I didn't want too much yeast in the glass. I want to try it without the yeast first, even though there's a bit of floaties. But it's a beautiful beer. I mean, considering it's been in the bottle for so long, there's actually not a lot of like, at least color-wise, oxidation apparent. I think I talked a little bit about it before, but this is pretty much the color of Stille Nacht. It's like deeply copper-hued or orange-hued beer with a white head. You don't see any gray nuances or anything in this, at least right now. But it's also only 2 years in the bottle. I think a lot of people age this for much longer than that. But yeah, let's check out the aroma on Stille Nacht for the first time in ages. Oh, that smells so old money and classic. And it's just like, I can see why when I hadn't tried like any beer at all, like my first foray into beers, and I get something like this in the glass. Like I've only had like English lower strength beers, maybe the odd stronger stout, And then you have something like this, which is just like blah, in your face with so much stewed fruitiness and crazy yeast character and like hop character that you're like, wow, this is crazy. It smells exactly what I remember from Stille Nacht. Really like heavily stewed fruit, stewed pear, stewed apple. There's almost like if you're doing æbleflæsk in Denmark, it's a Christmas dish where you stew apples with brown sugar and then you add bacon. It's almost like that without the bacon. And so it's like almost like apple pie or apple pear pie filling, but without cinnamon. I think it's more of a white pepper type spiciness to it because there's definitely a spicy phenolic from yeast. Maybe the slightest hint of clove, but I think mainly it's white pepper. But so much stewed fruitiness. Really, really nice. Like really nice, almost like marmalade-y. I'm wondering if the nugget hop is playing into that as well. I can't even remember the flavor profile on nugget. No one uses it really anymore, at least in like modern brewers. And I'm actually not sure if they still use nugget. I think they've done it in the past. I'm not sure if that's the same hop they use all the time. In terms of age, this shows no sign of age. Like, there's no oxidation at all. Like, it's just pure jammy bright fruitiness, which is pretty impressive for a beer of 2 years. And there's like sweet caramelly, chewy maltiness underneath as well. It's also floral, slightly perfumey. And there definitely some white, like a lot of the candy sugar is probably fermented, but because of the Maillard effect, I'm guessing infection, the Maillard effect in the kettle, I'm guessing like you're getting like caramelized, sugary, almost like rock sugar type thing, like or yeah, candy sugar or something like that. Like it, you probably wouldn't taste it's in there, but you can kind of smell it, and I think that's just from the long extensive boil, and then you know it's in there, and you can't help think of that. But yes, it's really nice stewed fruitiness. There's also loads of breadiness, like a really nice, like heavy, like bready, toasted breadiness. But so much fruitiness. Also like peaches, like a peach marmalade or something like that. Stone fruits. It's got a really complex nose. Yeah, it smells awesome. Let's try it. Stille Nacht 2020. Cheers. Thanks a ton for the beer, mess. For a beer with 2 years of age, this is crazy refreshing. This is, and also such a heavy beer. Like all those stewed heavy flavors, it still has like brightness because it's slightly acidic. So because you have like that acidic tart snap in the beer, is really refreshing too, but it's 12% and like heavy. Champagne-like effervescence almost, like really highly carbonated, but it just makes it so refreshing. I think there's more of an aged flavor on it. It's super light. There is a slight oxidative note, kind of like sherry or something, but it's super light. Like it's so soft. But mostly it's like really, like much more baked bread on the flavor profile than the aroma. Still a high level of fruitiness. Definitely like the stewed pear and stewed apple, like apple pie filling type thing. But loads of phenolics too. And I think also spice and peppery nuances from hops. Because there's a lot of like spice. There's definitely a bit of a bite. It's not like crazy bitter, but there is a soft bite to it. And it's like slightly grassy or earthy, and like just like sharp pepper, like white pepper, black pepper, galore. It's a sipper, yet something you'll drink way too fast. Like you keep wanting to go in for another sip on this beer because there's so many layers of complexity and so much going on. It's like you have one sip, it's like, ooh, it's heavy, but it's also really refreshing. Wow, there's so much going on. I better have another sip, and then you've drunk a 12% beer like this. Like it's oddly refreshing and complex. Like it's just got so much going on. But such a distinct yeast character too. Like really distinct Belgian yeast character. It's quite a unique Belgian Christmas beer too, because a lot of classic Belgian Christmas beers are darker. They often have spices, or at least sometimes, and they're heavier and they're also sweeter. This is dry, although it's got some sweetness because it's a strong beer. But like it's dry and it's floral and it's got like super bright nuances and like this almost perfumey bouquet and then all these stewed fruits and the malt and like there's just so much going on with just simple ingredients. There's no weird adjuncts and whatever. It's just hops, sugar, water, malt, yeast, and process, which is awesome. Fantastic beer. I think this is a world class beer. I don't think everyone will like this as much as me. And I think you need to be a little bit of an old money beer geek as well. But I think most people will appreciate the level of complexity. And I think fresh, it has a little bit of heat. Right now, it's drinking really easily. There is a little warmth going down, but it's not like boozy or anything. This is just a prime example of the Dolle beers and like the Dolle's way of experimenting and playing around and tweaking, classic Belgian beer and doing a little bit of, in their own way. Because like dry hopping with American hops when these guys were, or just dry hopping in general, like not a lot of brewers did that besides like Orval, even though I can't remember the story about it, if it was how new it was with the whole dry hopping thing, but compared to very historic Belgian beer, must have been very unique for its time when it first came out. And it still is wonderful beer. 95. I fucking love this. It's just great. Like if you've never had, and it also says here something about beer with taste evolution, you can save it. It will evolve in the bottle, and it's unfiltered. But yeah, 95. It's a world class beer. It's amazing. It's one of those beers that you try and you love it, and then you don't try it for a long time, and then you try it again. It's like, wow, man, yeah, this is one of those beers that's just like it's always top of the pop. Which is awesome. It's a true classic and an icon in my mind. So if you've never had Stille Nacht and you're wondering about trying some festive beer this season, and you still can find this, get some Stille Nacht, and maybe not a cellar version, the aged version. Get 2 bottles, age one, drink one fresh. You can see the difference in a few years, or just buy the vintage. That's quite fun. Buy 1 year, or 2 1 year. 2 1 year, 2 1 year, and then you can do like a vertical where you can have a fresh and then some aged bottles. That's quite fun. And try and get the reserve version. That's even better. But yeah, wondrous stuff. Thanks a ton for the bottle mess. It was really fun to try this classic again and have a bit of nostalgia. So if you guys had this one, let me know. As always, remember to comment, subscribe, check out the Facebook fan page and Twitter and Instagram, and give this video a thumbs up if you enjoyed it. Ring the bell for future notifications about videos. And I want to say cheers and Merry Christmas. And see you guys in the beer review.